The Supreme Court acknowledged the constitutional protection of life, beginning at fertilization, yet it deferred to the FDA's regulatory framework, which treats pre-implantation embryonic death as legally permissible. By doing this, the court essentially said, yes, life exists at fertilization, but we will allow a system that permits those lives to be destroyed, right? So why? I mean, this is not right. This creates a profound legal and moral contradiction. A constitutional right is recognized on paper, but the mechanisms of law and regulation actively allow its violation. Right? In practice, that means the court's ruling sanctions the death of living human embryos under the guise of contraception, resulting in what can reasonably be called an immense injustice. If I was a Supreme Court justice, you know, I would say, listen, I recognize that, this is a constitutionally protected right to life, and I would go to the FDA and require that the FDA is competent, right? So the FDA is incompetent, so then we can't have the FDA regulate, right? You know what I mean? Like, how can the FDA regulate if they're not competent? If the Supreme Court allows the FDA to regulate and they're incompetent, then the Supreme Court effectively is allowing this this violation of the constitutionally protected right to life, right? You know what I'm saying? Uh, the court, yeah, exactly. Like you're saying, life exists at fertilization, but will allow the FDA to regulate, even though we know that the FDA has erred in its determination of when pregnancy starts, and these birth control methods that you're suggesting are not abortifacient, are actually abortifacients, right? So and the grave consequence here is evident here. We have these lives that are being lost, right? There's overpopulation. Is there really? They're so poor and everything is poverty. Really? Okay, so that's not what we're talking about. We are talking about the constitutionally protected right to life, right? For these microscopically sized, precious, very, very, very precious, very valuable embryos, right? That one child that is lost is a great tragedy, a great tragedy. Did you ever see a dead person? Hey, did you ever see a dead person? It's terrible, right? You see a dead person, it's terrible. This is no different. There's no difference. There's literally no difference at all. Did you ever see a dead guy? I remember my niece, her husband died. So we went to the funeral home and the guy was dead. Dead. I never seen a guy dead like that. 35 years old. Dead. Left, his wife was pregnant and had 5 or 6 kids already. Dead. I never seen a guy dead like that. What a tragedy. I mean, it's a terrible tragedy, right? Do you think this is less of a tragedy because of the microscopic size of the developing human? It's not. It's really not. It's even worse. Eh? Because this guy that I'm referring to, this Christian guy, his name was Christian, and he died. But he already had 6 kids, so he was able to pass on his DNA and his generation. His bloodline will continue. But this baby here, didn't have a chance to have a family and all this stuff, and to his bloodline or her bloodline will cease to exist forever, right? That's bad, right? That's really, really bad, right? It's extremely profound loss to our society, right? There is no greater loss, right? There is no greater loss, right? There's absolutely no greater loss than this, right? So why the court is saying, yeah, the constitutionally protected right to life exists, but we're going to let the FDA, which is not competent, right? Why are they not competent? Because they have adhered to the notion that implantation is the starting of life, and they have allowed abortifacient, birth control pills to be introduced into the market. It's starting to get a little bit creepy, to be honest. It's starting to what's going on here, right? Well, we have to be mature about that. We do know what's going on. We already know what's going on. But cool story, bro.